you make this? I kind of forgot how to make this, so we are winging it today. I'm so sorry, Dad. Boom, crack, boom, crack. Yeet, 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 yeet. Okay. I'm so sorry. Wow. I'm also going to open these like a little sneak before we start filming because I can't open shit for shit. Worcestershire. You guys, I literally had to like Google and look up. Ooh, that's a hard one to open. Jason, your bottle's hard to open. I had to Google how to say Worcestershire sauce. I had to look up how to say Worcestershire sauce. But I looked it up for you. Worcestershire. Fuck. Just making sure it's clean. Chill the fuck out. Spooky Sunday dinners, spooky Sunday dinners, spooky Sunday dinners. I still can't afford a theme song. Hi, for those of you that don't know, my name is Johnny, and this is Spooky Sunday Dinners. I'm getting better and better at editing this on my phone. Speaking of, camera update. Still don't have one. Editing update. Obviously still on my phone. But we're working through it. We're working on it. We're getting shit done. Who needs a camera? You have a phone? Do what I do. So yes, welcome to Spooky Sunday Dinners, where every Sunday, gonna maybe be every other Sunday, maybe lazy, it happens on a Monday, and there's still just something about a Thursday. We are going to be talking about a true crime story that I just fucking want to talk about while making a fairly easy, simple, quick recipe that I came up with. It's not rocket science. You know what time it is. The time I fucking hate. It's time for a Karen disclaimer. Number one, these are not professional recipes. I don't have the nutritional facts to give you. These are not even for nutritional value. It's just what I feel like cooking that night. Like I said, these are not professional. They are mediocre at best. If you make this and you don't like it or you fuck up and get sick, it's not my fault. Disclaimer 2. This is Spooky Sunday Dinners. Emphasis on the spooky. We're going to be talking about spooky shit. True crime, murder, disease, fucked up shit. And if you don't like that, don't watch this. Now, this is also a true crime comedy cooking show. Emphasis on the comedy. I make jokes while talking about this shit to cope with the fact that my obsession is so fucking dark. If that offends you in any way, shape, or form, write it on some toilet paper so it doesn't go to waste. Now that we got that out of the way, I know what you're thinking again this week. Her shirt is just really fucking cool. And again, a huge shout out to the Golden Serpent, who, when I tell you she makes clothes for spooks like you and me, I know if you're watching this, you're a fan of Forensic Files. Who isn't? But really, the Golden Serpent, it's an Etsy shop run by my friend Ashley, and she makes the best affordable spooky clothing. I'm telling you guys, it's meant for us. Spooks. Spooky motherfuckers. But really, link down below to her Etsy shop. I'm also going to link her Instagram below and check it out. Trust me, it's fucking awesome. I wouldn't wear it if it wasn't. Like, come on. Now, with all of that being said, this week is a big week. We are covering a heavy hitter, all right? We are going to be talking about BTK. Let it sink in. Take a moment. Now, another quick shout out. We are talking about BTK because it was suggested to me by my brother Gavin. And this is a huge week because, like, literally 3 days ago, him and his wife just had their first child. So, shout out Gavin. Shout out his amazing wife, my sister-in-law JC, for being a fucking warrior, and their new adorable little baby Kaysen. Hopefully one day, Kaysen, you'll get to see Auntie Johnnie talk about some fucked up shit that your dad suggested she talk about. This is one for the home videos. Now, while we talk about that, we're going to be making another fucking easy ass recipe. I mean, this one this week is like the easiest of easy. I don't have a name for it. I would use the word Cajun because there's a little bit of Cajun seasoning, but it's not. We're just going to call it spicy shrimp and rice. Let's get into what we need, and then we can start on the early days of BTK. You will need as much shrimp as you want. I have this much because I'm going to eat it, and this is how much I eat. I don't know. I'm not a measuring cup. And with that, we are going to need some sriracha, obviously, a little bit of soy sauce, Worcestershire. No, really, I looked it up. I watched like 5 YouTube videos, typed it into Google. Apparently this is pronounced Worcestershire sauce. You're gonna need it. I don't know what to tell you. Some minced garlic. When are we not gonna use garlic, you guys? Whatever Creole seasoning you want. I like this one. My dad told me to buy this one like 3 years ago. It's really good. It even says right here that it's great on everything. And finally, a little dash of hot sauce of your choice. This is General Cho's hot sauce made by my friend Jason Cho. I'm gonna link the Instagram below. Be sure to check this out. It is a homemade gourmet hot sauce, and I think it adds the perfect amount of spicy and sweet to this dish. So be sure to check it out. Jason, I love you shit. And obviously, finally, just some rice, guys. Some fucking rice. Weirdly enough, somebody when I made pasta messaged me and was shocked that I used like the decorative pasta in my kitchen. And like, are you not supposed to use the decorative things to like hold shit that you use? Like, I'm so confused. Is it supposed to be like fake pasta? Like those weird plastic fake grapes? Like, who said you can't use your like decorative shit to hold your real shit? Who made up that rule? Just fucking use your decorative shit. You know what? Plate your food on your china tonight. Plate this on your china. I don't have china. I don't have china. Do I look like somebody that would have like a set of china? No. But if you have it, plate this on it. And use your fucking decorative canisters for your real ingredients, because it's weird. I don't know. Don't be weird. And also because I'm just annoying and can't go a fucking day without a vegetable, I'm just gonna make some zucchini and some similar sauces. I'm gonna wing it. I don't know. Eat your veggies. Make them spicy. Now, while I chop and prep my zucchini, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about BTK before he was BTK. I have my notes here, and just a quick disclaimer for those of you that don't know. This is going to get gruesome. It's going to get weird. It's going to get extra spooky this week. If you don't want to hear about it, put it on mute and make some shrimp. I don't know. I don't know why you came here if you didn't think it was going to get weird. Do I look like somebody that doesn't get weird? Like if you saw me on the street, you would be like, she gets weird. Now, before he was the BTK killer, Dennis Rader was born in 1945. He was the oldest of 4 boys, and he was actually born in Pittsburgh, Kansas, but raised in Wichita. His parents worked long hours. They weren't home a lot. The kids kind of had to care for themselves after school, which was super normal for that time. But Dennis did say and resent his mom for the fact that she, quote, ignored him when he was younger and didn't treat him right. Sounds like a little bit of a crybaby bitch to me, but to each his own. Now, from a young age, Dennis had some major fucking issues. He harbored, quote, sadistic sexual fantasies about torturing trapped and helpless women. I don't like that at all. He was, the boring old, every serial killer story in the book. He loved torturing animals. He had only one of the McDonald triad. If you don't know what that is, it's very interesting, a little controversial, and I would highly suggest just doing a quick Wikipedia search. McDonald triad. He liked to spy on neighbors in the area. He loved to dress as a woman while watching women through their windows and just, got off to it like a fucking weird kid. We'll definitely get more into the women's clothing later in the story. Just hold on tight. She's a doozy. Now, as he got older, he was actually known in his community as a well-mannered, totally normal, actually pretty kind human. He was normal, guy next door. No one ever suspected him. He leads a pretty normal life. He attended the Kansas Wesleyan University. His grades weren't good. He wasn't meant for school. Neither am I. So he ended up joining the Air Force, and he was in the Air Force from 1966 to 1970. Once he was discharged, he moved to Park City, where he from there led somehow an even more normal life. He worked run-of-the-mill jobs. He worked in the meat department for a grocery store where his mom was the bookkeeper, and just went on as your everyday Joe Schmo. He married a woman by the name of Paula Dietz in 1971. My mom's name is Paula. They had 2 kids kind of right away. He went back to school, going to both a community college and Wichita State University, ultimately earning an associate's degree in electronics and then a bachelor's degree in administration of justice. From there, he went to work for the Coleman Company. If you go to your cupboard or your parents' cupboard right now, they probably have a Coleman thermos in there. That's how you know what that name is. And what's really interesting is he actually installed security systems for ADT. Most of the clients he was installing these security systems for were actually trying to keep themselves safe from the BTK killer. And he also was a census field operations supervisor. But interestingly enough, what Dennis was most known for in his community was he was an avid churchgoer and his involvement as a troop leader for the local Cub Scout troop. He was a member of the Christ Lutheran Church and actually became president of the church council. Do I know what that means? No. Do I know what the Christ Lutheran Church practices? No. Am I interested? No. And to be completely honest, he just sounds like your boring, run-of-the-mill, fucking Kansas man. You know, the exact kind of man I piss off. So how does boring old Dennis, church-going, Cub Scout leader, Coleman factory worker turn into BTK? No, I'm actually asking you. As we hop into the first murder, I'm just going to get some rice started on my stove. Now look, this is rice that I'm going to use. I'm going to cook it. It's jasmine rice. Use any kind of rice you want. I recommend jasmine rice, but do you want to use fucking minute rice, Uncle Ben's 90-second rice pack? I don't think it matters, and anybody that does, I really truly think is lying to you. Don't let people tell you what rice to use. Okay, now we're going to jump to 1974. Now, in 1974, 15-year-old Charlie Otero comes home from school. He immediately notices that their garage door is open. Now, this is totally not normal for the family. He decides he's going to go inside anyway, so he goes inside. He sees that the house is completely a mess. He can feel that something is wrong because not only is the house a mess, it is completely silent. He is the oldest of 5 siblings, and he's used to a lot of noise around the house. Now, I'm the youngest of 6 siblings, so I know for a fact that shit got loud. So Charlie starts looking around and he's not finding anything. That's when he hears the voice of his little sister yell, "Charlie, come quick. Mom and Dad are playing a bad trick on us." That would scare the fuck out of me. That is when he runs upstairs and finds 2 of his younger siblings, Carmen and Danny, huddled up together in their room. Now, he knows some shit went down, so he goes to check his parents' room. This is unfortunately where he finds his father, Joseph, age 38, dead on the floor. He was bound and strangled to death. He also finds his mother, Julie, age 33, who was also bound and strangled to death, but on the bed. Now, the biggest question here is that is 2 parents and 3 siblings. We are missing 2. The kids freak out. Obviously, the oldest sibling calls the police. Police get there almost immediately. They start searching the house. That is where the police come to find his younger brother, Joey, age 9, in a different bedroom. He was also bound and murdered. And they find their sibling, Josephine, age 11, in the basement, bound and hung from a pipe. The police also find that the phone lines had been cut, the family car had been stolen, and there was semen next to young Josephine's body in the basement. I know, it's a fucking lot. He's a fucking bitch. Don't be mad at me. I'm just the storyteller here. Now, the car is later found in a grocery store parking lot. Witnesses next to the car say that they just saw a man get out. It was a white man with dark hair, ordinary looking. They really don't have any leads from here. 1 year later, the Sebring brothers in Wichita confess to the crime. This pisses Dennis off. Because if there's one thing this little piece of shit wants is to be famous. Disclaimer, I'm gonna call him names. Don't tell me you wouldn't do it. So the local media then gets a call. The person on this call says to go to the local library and there is a letter hidden in a specific engineering book and they're, quote, going to want to take a look at. The letter had all of the fucking details, and it turns out that this was a murder he planned for quite some time. He planned this murder but didn't have any victims in mind. One day he saw the mom who worked with Coleman and thought, this is perfect, she's the one. Now, once he found a family or a victim that he wanted, he would call them his projects. So he's going to call them his projects, and I'm going to call him a little bitch. So it turns out, once he figured out he wanted to murder this family, he would tail them for months, figure out their schedule, figure out when the parents would be home. He actually would go around the children to gain their trust by showing them random pictures of men and being like, have you seen this man? So they had some communication with him before he broke into the home. Now, I use the word broke into the home, but he actually didn't. He got into the home by knocking on the door again, seeing one of the kids, and doing the same, have you seen this man? The kid is like, no, I haven't. Maybe my mom has. He's like, oh, great, your mom's home. Go get her. That's when he pulls out a gun and proceeds to be the piece of shit that he is. He was really big on separating the kids from the parents, and it was kind of like a divide and conquer situation. They also found out that he would go to extreme lengths to suffocate his victims. He would use multiple bags, cords, and pillows layered so that they couldn't get the pillow off of their face and break through the bag or plastic that he was using. Now, mind you, this shit happened midday fucking suburbia. This wasn't something that happened. This was an area that people didn't fucking get murdered in like this. This is not normal. Now, his next victim was Catherine Bright, age 21. He did the same fucking shit. Stalked her, tried to get a pattern, her schedule, and actually broke into her home while she wasn't there and fucking did weird shit like hide in closets and just waited. He had the patience of a fucking, I don't know, monk, because he was a fucking psychopath. He could wait forever until he had the right time to attack. The one thing he was not counting on was that Catherine was going to arrive home with her brother. She comes home with her brother. He jumps out, freeze. He holds a gun to them. He makes Catherine's brother tie her up and put her in a room. That is where Dennis takes Catherine's brother into another room, attempts to tie him up. The brother breaks free and they get into a fight. Now, he almost gets the gun away from Dennis, but unfortunately, Dennis shoots him twice in the head. The brother is still alive and kicking, runs out, gets to a car in time to ask for help. The police are called. By the time they get back to the house, they see that he has actually given up on strangling Catherine. He stabbed her multiple times, and unfortunately, she died from those wounds. Her brother, however, survived, but because he was attacked from different angles, a lot of things were happening, and he had 2 fucking headshots, he couldn't identify Dennis. Normally, when Dennis broke in, he would tell his victims things like, I have a sexual problem and I won't kill you. He would also say things like, I'm the BTK killer. Bitch. More like BTKCUNT. You're a bitch. While we talk about this next victim, I'm going to heat up some oil in a pan and get my zucchini going. His next victim was Shirley Vian, who was 24 years old. He did the same thing, breaking in and separating the children from her. He actually had her take her children in a separate room and give them toys and blankets to distract them while they could hear him murdering their mother. The oldest of her children had the idea to get a window open, and the kids escaped. The police said that their description of him was unreliable because the kids were like, he was ordinary looking. I don't know what to tell you. What do you want them to say? Like, he was pretty? He looks like every other Joe Schmo. That's like a psychopath's dream. This is where he writes another fucking letter to the media, and this time he says things like, how many more do I have to kill till my name's in the paper? Shut the fuck up. You can look up these letters. I would suggest you don't. They're a waste of time. They're bullshit. He's suggesting his own names in them. The one that finally sticks is BTK. But he gives them like a list of names. And we all know if you have to like make up your own nickname, nobody likes you. Now we move on to Nancy Fox, who is 28 years old. Now, this one is really weird because after he kills Nancy, he runs to the nearest payphone, calls them, does the whole like fucking true crime made for TV movie. There's a homicide at this address. You're gonna want to get there quick. And then leaves the phone like dangling off the receiver. Stupid. With this zucchini, I'm just going to take a little bit of that minced garlic and work it in there with the oil. When I say a little bit, I mean I use too much. We'll definitely throw in a little bit of salt and pepper to taste and some of that really awesome Creole seasoning. But for now, I'm just going to let this do its thing. Now, what's really funny in these letters is he actually claims to be driven by, quote, Factor X, which he said is the supernatural element that motivated Jack the Ripper, Son of Sam, Hillside Strangler, etc., etc. He's trying to compare himself to these kind of what he sees as like serial killer greats so that he can become famous off of it too. Because like I said, he's a little fucking bitch. Now here is where he starts sending poems. Now you would think, as somebody that looks like this and talks about what I talk about, I would really appreciate like a good dark poem, but there's just something I hate about this guy writing poetry. Fucking, what are you, Edgar Allan bitch? It's awful. He actually writes a poem called Oh Nancy, inspired by an old folk song called Oh Death. You can look up the poem. Do I think you should? No. Is it tacky? Yes. At least be good at it, you know? Hey, Dennis, your poetry sucks. It's bad. He also wrote about a woman that, quote, got away. Her name was Anna, and she was 68 years old. The age jump in victims really confuses me. We were just targeting women in their like 20s and 30s, and now we've jumped to a 68-year-old woman. Did the same thing, tailed her, followed her, blah, blah, blah. But he actually wasn't counting on the fact that she went out with some friends and ended up staying the night at one of her friends just randomly. It wasn't a plan. And he waited there all night for her. She didn't show up. That is when he gave up. When she got home that next morning, she noticed, broken window, phone line cut. All of her shit was just messy everywhere. Probably just looked like my apartment on a Tuesday. And also, this is why don't stick to a schedule. Don't do it. Stay out till 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Go spend the night at a friend's house. Keep them on their toes. You never know who's watching you. Now, I also want to mention that he is still married at this point and now has 3 children at home and is leading the most normal life you could possibly think. Now we are actually going to jump to 1985. At this point, 7 people have been killed, and this is his first kind of hiatus. This is also where there is a task force created just to catch this mysterious BTK killer. Now, completely fair warning, this next murder is totally fucked up. Maureen Hedge was 53 years old. She was actually abducted and taken to a field where Dennis actually dug a grave for her and strangled her with some pantyhose and his hands. He then puts her in the grave, looks down, and that little fucked up light bulb in his head goes off, and he thinks, I've got something. I've got something. This is where he actually pulls her body out of the grave and takes her body to the fucking Christ Lutheran Church. Remember the church that we just talked about? This is where he poses her body in several sexual bondage positions to take photos of. He does this in the church. It's all set up, and yeah, have fun going to church next week with that in your mind. From there, he takes her body back to the grave, and before he dumps her body, he actually dresses up in women's clothing, puts a homemade women's mask over his face, and takes photos of himself in similar sexual bondage positions in that grave. He then dumps her body and leaves. The next murder happens in 1986. A woman by the name of Vicki Weverly is killed, and he is getting very sloppy. He actually strangled her on break from his job at ADT and did it in front of her 2-year-old child. Now, for a really long time, they weren't sure if this murder was done by the BTK killer. Now, we're gonna get ready to cook this shrimp. It takes maybe 5 to 8 minutes, depending how you like it. I'm gonna take my big wok and just get it super, super hot with a little bit of oil at the bottom. I told you that I never fucking burp, and I always burp when I film this. I don't know what it is about you. You give me gas. Now, while that's heating up, let's get into what is thought to be his very last victim. Now, this happened in 1991. This is where he attacks Dolores E. Davis. He actually does this on a break from a scouting trip. So he's out on a scouting trip, says, I gotta go take a shit in the woods, and finds Dolores. Now, it is the totally normal MO. Breaks in before she's home. When she gets there, he strangles her, leaves her body. Do you want to know the worst thing about this? Do you want to know why I hate this man with a burning passion? Besides the fact that he killed a bunch of people. Dolores was known for having a very, very clean home. And after he murdered her, he went into the kitchen and he ate a bowl of cereal. Get it? Because he's a serial killer? I'm angry. I'm angry at that. I'm actually done with this. No. You made a pun. Goodbye. I'm not gonna do this. Actually, my stove is on, so we do need to finish this. I'm sorry for the dramatics, but let's get back to it. Now, after his last killing in 1991, this is where Dennis becomes a dog catcher, and now finally gets the reputation of being a complete and total asshole. He's known to bully and harass single women, and there's actually a story of a woman who claims that he killed her dog and made some really inappropriate remarks about her getting rid of her boyfriend. He followed her. She felt like he was stalking her. She went home one day and her dog was gone, and found that he took the dog to the pound and had the dog put down. Just a real asshole. Remember when he tortured animals? Well, guess what? Honestly, like, if you kill animals like dogs, let's talk. Let's just have a talk, me and you. We're just gonna talk. All right, now that our wok is super hot with some oil, we are going to start cooking our shrimp. Now, this cooks very, very, very quickly because it's shrimp. So, as we are cooking it, we are just going to add equal parts. There's nothing crazy hard about this. I'm going to start with 1 tablespoon of all of the ingredients, except for the garlic. We're just going to put a spoonful of that in to start. The Creole seasoning will not go in till the end, along with my homie Jason's hot sauce. But Worcestershire sauce, sriracha, and soy sauce will just all go in equal parts while cooking, starting with 1 tablespoon increments while you're just working that shrimp around. Because don't make it harder than it has to be, you guys. What's really cool about this recipe is you can do this with fucking anything, you guys. You can add some fucking canned fucking oyster clam can shit to it. It's really good. I did that once. I don't know. Shrimp, fish, just put it over rice. It's delicious. It's not that hard. And while it finishes cooking, let's finish this fucking fucked up story. Now, I really do feel like I just kind of dipped my toe into BTK. There's a lot more shit that's happening and going on during this time. A lot more photos happening during his hiatus in the women's clothing. But I don't want to bombard you with that and make you eat a meal. Sounds a little gross. But we are going to jump to 2004. Now, the BTK killer case now is considered a cold case. This is where a local lawyer is going to start writing a book about it, and it does hit the media that this lawyer is going to write a book about his BTK theories, what happened, and everything that went down. Now, this pisses off dear old Dennis, because you remember, it's all about him. He wants to be famous. He's a little bitch. So he starts sending in letters to the local Wichita Eagle newspaper and also Cake news station. The letter's return address is to a Bill Thomas Kilman. Sure. The letters had crime scene photos and actually had the driver's license of Vicki Wegler that was stolen from the scene. And this is where they were able to figure out that she was in fact a victim of the BTK killer. This is just where he hits an all-time low of sloppiness. And actually this starts the sending of, it was 11 different communications with the local media. He starts sending cereal boxes with prizes in it because of the whole serial killer thing. He sends chapters of books about himself that he's written, things, newspaper clippings, driver's licenses from past victims. He wants so badly to be famous. Now this fucking idiot in a letter to the police asks that if he puts all of his writings on a floppy disk, if they can trace him. The police are like, nah, not at all, man. Nah, fam. What? No. No. Of course not. So what does he do? He fucking sends it. They were able to immediately trace that the floppy disk came from the Christ Lutheran Church and that the floppy disk had actually been erased. Like it was used, everything was erased, and then he put all of his writings on it, which is like I said last time, we love a reusable bitch, but not a murdering little bitch, reusable bitch. They see that the floppy disk said that it was last used by someone named Dennis. This is where they go and find out, motherfucking churchgoer Dennis, oh no, we're gonna put it all together. Now, remember that semen from poor Josephine in 1974, well, that DNA was kept. Now, they were able to get a warrant for DNA from a pap smear from Dennis's daughter. This is where they were able to do that whole like familial DNA situation and get a warrant for his DNA through that. I truly think that he wanted to get caught. He wanted everybody to know what he did. And he's a little bitch. BTK, BITCH. When he was caught, he did say that he was planning on killing again in 2004 and had a date set of October 2004, and that's why he was starting to come back in the media. Now, what is awful about this is when he's sitting in the courtroom or doing any type of interview with the media, he acts like he is so over his whole life. He's sitting there like, yeah, and then I strangled her, and then, like, it's like, but get your teen angst out of here. What else do you have to do today? Now, obviously, this piece of shit was sentenced to life without parole. Something I find really interesting, whether you believe in the death penalty or not, he actually could not have been given the death penalty at this time because they did not reinstate the death penalty until 1994. The last known murder he committed was in 1991. All right, let's top this with our Creole seasoning and our little bit of General Cho's hot sauce, then we'll plate it. So, Dennis Rader is sitting obviously in prison, rotting away and writing poetry. You can look up a poem he wrote about the springtime, and it's terrible. I don't know, did you want me to say it was good? Clearly he's a fucking idiot and I hate him. But what I want to know is how somebody so involved in the church, such a normal family life, no issues with his wife or children, could turn into this horrible, terrible killing machine. What's crazy is that his wife had no idea this was happening. And actually, because she didn't know and they really did believe her, the court granted her an immediate emergency divorce. They demolished their family home and are having to live with that for the rest of their lives. So what turned him into BTK? What made him want to act on these desires that he clearly had from such a young age? And how could he live this double life where he truly, I think, believed in those Christ Lutheran blah 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 values and was helping little boys a father figure in their lives? On top of that, how does somebody that does such sadistic things take a break cold turkey like nothing ever happened? Then one day in 2004, he wakes up and is like, think I'm gonna do it again. I really want to know how that even happens. This just doesn't feel to me like your normal run-of-the-mill Bundy type of serial killer. Now, it does feel like he is a little bitch. He is a piece of shit. I can't stand him. But for me, it's just the breaks, the hiatuses. You know what I'm trying to say. It truly goes to show that you can never know who in your life is a fucking psychopath. So with that, I will leave you with, don't trust anyone. This was a man that people really did trust with their home security and their children. He really did fool everybody. So with all of that being said, I hope you learned something this week. I hope you try this dish. It's super easy, but trust me, it's fucking delicious. And yeah, be sure to comment below future fucking murders you want me to cover, maybe some future recipes, and yeah, what do you think was going on in fucking Dennis Rader's head? I killed this. I'm gonna be honest, I was a little concerned. I killed this. It's spicy. Thank you for watching Spooky Sunday Dinners. I am still singing. I still can't afford a theme song. Be-boop bop, be-boop bop. You guys, the alternator in my car like went out. So it fried the battery in my car. Obviously. I don't know why you don't know that. And like I made an appointment to take my car in. And I took it to the wrong place. Like I took it to the place next door. And they fucked with me. It was like 10 feet in the wrong parking spot from where it needed to be. I can't. It's been a week. My car's fixed now, but it was like so expensive. And like I took it to the wrong place. So now like everybody thinks I'm an idiot. But like it was literally like 10 feet in the wrong parking spot. They were like connected and I needed to take it to this one and it fucking died in the parking lot of this one. I can't. I hate it. I burped. And then of course the guys there were like total dicks about it because like men, I hate men. I hate men. Except for like my dad and like all of my brothers and like my boyfriend and like maybe like 5 other friends. But like other than that, I don't like men. I did get to film a music video this week. That was cool. That was cool. I'm gonna let you guys know when it comes out because it was cool. It was really fun, actually. It was really cool. Doug did it too. We got to work together. It was cool. I really like this shirt. Like, I really like this shirt. This is a nice one. The other one's really nice too. I don't have any shirts like this. I like this one. I don't want to clean up, but I'm gonna clean up now. I'm gonna go eat this and cry in bed.